Welcome to a new episode of Coptic Civilization. I'm Michael Saad. Today's topic is Coptic Studies in Claremont, specifically Claremont Graduate University, California. And my guests today are Dean Tammi Schneider, Dean of the School of Arts and Humanities. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
And Professor Patrick Mason, Chair of the Department of Religion at the School of Arts and Humanities in Claremont Graduate University. Welcome, Professor.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for accepting my invitation to be our guest today at Coptic Civilization program of Logos TV. I was honored in 1996 attending the 30th anniversary of the Institute for Antiquity and Christianity, where we are sitting now, when I met you, then Professor Tammi Schneider. And since then, our collaboration in Coptic studies and in other activities, so many religious studies at this institution, and now in your capacity as Dean of the School of Arts and Humanities, it has been a long journey. And what does Coptic studies mean to you as Dean of Arts and Humanities?
It has been a long journey, I think Coptic studies, tracing Coptic studies from that moment that you reference in 1996 until today is a great way to follow the arc of how the School of Religion for a while and now Department of Religion has moved forward. So originally, the Department of Religion was established by the School of Theology in Claremont, following a more traditional format of mostly Christian studies on a seminary basis. And so the interest in Coptic studies at that time was rooted in the Nag Hammadi finds, the texts from Nag Hammadi, which were written in Coptic, hence the interest of the Coptic community. And so they played a very important role in the careers of a number of faculty members teaching at CGU and our students, and many of them developed extremely important careers based on their work in the Nag Hammadi material. And so at that time, Coptic Studies was rooted as a research project of a number of faculty in the then Institute for Antiquity and Christianity. Around the year 2000, the Department of Religion became a School of Religion, and we expanded the focus of the kinds of religious traditions that we do research on and teach to our students. And at that time, we created councils, and one of them was the Coptic Studies Council. And so Coptic Studies was no longer just the Nag Hammadi text, ancient Coptics texts and ancient Coptic people, but rather was brought into the more modern world, recognizing the fact that while yes, there's this important archive of Coptic texts, there's actually a living, breathing community who is following those traditions, still speaking that language, still deeply embedded in those religious texts, and the religion is functioning not only in Egypt, but even here in Los Angeles. And so our dear Michael Saad helped us with that, and we created a Coptic council, the focus of which is both ancient Coptic studies in terms of text, but also more modern ones. And so as part of that, the Coptic community raised funds for us to bring in a visiting faculty member, which is how we were honored to have Gawdat Gabra in our midst. And I think it was 2006, or is it 2000?
When he started.
No, but the online Coptic encyclopedia was 2009. And in 2009, with the help of the Coptic community, the Claremont Graduate University purchased the rights to the online Coptic encyclopedia. And so that took us the next step. So in 2007, Gawdat Gabra started teaching Coptic courses, studies in Coptic studies, covering both from the ancient to the modern. And now we have the online Coptic encyclopedia project, which means that our students and our faculty are constantly updating and doing research on Coptic studies. And so we started in the ancient world, and now we are in the most modern that one can be. And part of, in the last 2 years ago, the School of Religion merged with the School of Arts and Humanities, and so we are a department within that. But that also means that it has broadened the partners that the faculty in religion interface with. And one of the big projects that will be coming to CGU soon is the capability to do big data and mine big data and look at the kinds of things that we can do with big data. And that is beautifully ripe for Coptic studies that has so many texts and so many possibilities and the art, and to be able to, and since we already have this first step of having it online already under our control, as it were, the possibilities of where Coptic studies can go here are really fairly endless. And so they really track beautifully, in my opinion.
Yes. Thank you. This is inspiring and encouraging. The Claremont Coptic Encyclopedia has 60,000 viewers per month over the last 2 years consistently. And that's wonderful.
That's remarkable. Yeah.
Right. Dr. Mason, you spent about 2 years at American University in Cairo teaching there.
That's right.
What did you teach, and how that your experience in Cairo, and you took your family as well there, how that experience relates to your interaction with Coptic studies now that you are chair of the Department of Religion in Claremont?
Yes, I was there at the American University in Cairo from 2007 to 2009. It was a terrific opportunity for me, and you're right. At the time, I took my wife with me, and then our oldest son was born there, and so we oftentimes say that he's an Egyptian American. Maybe he's an honorary Copt, but it was a terrific experience. I taught mostly American history classes there, courses in American history, American politics, American religion, which is my own area of research interest. But it was very interesting to do so situated in the context of Egypt with its long history. I remember, whenever I would go into my American history classes, and I would say, okay, we're going to look at kind of earlier periods in American history, and my students would laugh and say, America doesn't have history; it's all just current events. Egypt has history, and actually that recognition, that experience really gave me this sense of perspective, of the long perspective of Egypt, and then specifically to this subject of the Coptic Church, with a very long history, a story, a narrative rooted in the Middle East, but as Tammi said, now spread throughout the entire world. Which really gives a different perspective to thinking about American religion, which is my own interest, and so teaching there and walking the streets of Old Cairo, going to the Coptic museum there, which I think is one of the great museums, one of the great cultural treasures in all the country of Egypt. It really gave me a profound appreciation for this rich culture and legacy that is part of that is Coptic Christianity.
Yes, thank you. That's inspiring also. And if I may take it from here to Dean Schneider, at Claremont Graduate University, we have councils, one for each religion or denomination of a religion. There is Coptic, there is Jewish, there is Islamic, there is Protestant, there is Catholic, there is Mormon, the Rothschild, and Indic. You are, as the dean now of the School of Arts and Humanities, you have all of these religions plus board of visitors that includes people interested in music, in English language, diasporic, the studies, and. What do you think this integration would result for? Now, suppose I am a student on the east coast of America, and Claremont should on the Google search. And what is the uniqueness of Claremont in the study of religion, especially Coptic?
Well, I just had to write this up. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. So one of the great things about Claremont, and there are many great things about Claremont, and everyone should come and visit because it is so beautiful and there is this special quality to it, is that we have, especially in the School of Arts and Humanities, we are graduate only. And so we have small departments, but it doesn't mean that students receive less attention, but they are the only thing that faculty pay attention to other than their research. And when we, faculty at Claremont Graduate University, talk about our research, it's almost impossible to do that without also talking about our students, because our students are involved in our research, and our students, if we are interested in, if I'm writing a new book, I give a class on that topic, and the students get excited about that because they help steer where that goes, and many of them then take off and go directions with that we hadn't even anticipated. And so it's this combination of only graduate with faculty who are really engaged in their own research and yearning to engage their students in that. For Coptic studies, it's almost easier because of the online encyclopedia, because there's a council, because there are so many opportunities that the council has provided, plus a few others that are somewhat peripheral. And so having religion merge with cultural studies means that our students, while they always had access to understanding cultural studies and could always take classes in it, by having those students in cultural studies right there with them and numerous other courses, by having, we work closely with Nancy Van Dusen in the church, she teaches church music. There's so many other levels, the levels are deeper, and the engagement of the faculty from arts and humanities is deeper than it was before because the faculty are working together on so many different levels. For me, one of my Coptic is modern from where I work. I do ancient Near Eastern history, and so, by the time we get to year zero, I'm a little bored. But, and so I participate in an archaeological excavation in Israel every summer in Akka, which is just north of Haifa. Yes. And last summer, one of our Coptic studies students joined the excavation, and it was wonderful because when we went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, the Coptic part is on the roof.
Yes.
And it's one of my favorite ones. And so, and our student was having trouble finding it, right? And so I was leading him there, and all of a sudden, this place that I regularly visited, right? I go there at least once a year through the eyes of somebody else who I hadn't even considered, changed the whole place, right? And so
he's a Copt.
Yes, he's a Copt.
And having this joint experience at the same time, in real time, meant something fresh to you.
To me, and
to him too.
And to
that
him,
you have his professor.
To all of the students who were there with him, and one of the people who goes with us every year is a faculty member who is Dr. Lorianne Farrell, who teaches both in English and in history.
Yes.
And her specialty area is King James II and British stuff. And she always talks about the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as sort of an Eastern phenomenon. And that, it's tied to the Crusades, blah, blah, blah. But for her to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and see it through the eyes of one of these Eastern Christian groups, a modern person seeing it through, again, you can't put words to that. You can't teach that in a book. You can't. you can't write an article about that.
I envy your students. I wish I was there with them.
Well, can I pick up on this a little bit?
Yes.
That I think, building on what Tammi said, one of the really unique things about CGU is because it's graduate only, we're training graduate students. And a research university, a graduate university, is all about the creation of knowledge. At many undergraduate institutions, the model of learning is typically the transmission of knowledge. Professors have learned certain things and then they want to teach the students that so the students are prepared to go on to whatever careers they have. But here at a research university, especially at the graduate level, it's about the creation of knowledge, finding new knowledge. And so students are working hand in hand oftentimes with professors in the creation of knowledge. It's very exciting. And so when a student goes on an archaeological dig, or when we sit together in a class and we're reading over texts, when we're doing things, the students they're not just being trained, they are actually participating in the creation of knowledge. And so this Coptic Studies program here is really exciting. It is both the transmission of a lot of hard-earned knowledge by Professor Gabra and the others who are involved, but it's also students who are engaged deeply in the creation of new knowledge. They're going to do research projects. They're going to write theses and dissertations that are going to expand what we already know. It's very exciting.
And this expansion has infinite ways of expanding.
That's absolutely right.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no end to knowledge, right? And so it can go in all kinds of directions. And oftentimes it's the students, because they bring fresh eyes to it. They bring, these innovations, creativity is because of the other courses they're taking. They take a course in the history department, or they take a course in American religion or in Zoroastrianism or something. And then they bring that with fresh eyes onto their study of Coptic Christianity. And so they can see things that as professors we've never seen before.
Right. I'm glad that students of Coptic Studies, and thanks to your effort in making Coptic Studies a track, so the university now has a Coptic Studies track that a master's level or a PhD student from day one can be aiming at that, working on that track. Dr. Mason, in extension of what you're saying, I'm glad that Dr. Gawdat Gabra, in his activities here, as we see in the courses that he teaches and can be seen on the university website, cgu.edu, and search there for Coptic Studies, you will find the courses Dr. Gawdat Gabra is teaching, but which are in a wide range of Coptic studies. Coptic art, Coptic history, Coptic monasticism, Coptic New Testament, Coptic Hebrew Bible,
right.
Coptic Psalms, that's one of his books, and of course the many books he delivers, and he is well recognized in the international community. And I see here on the table two, what in Germany they call it Festschrift.
Festschrift.
How do you, would you kindly reflect on these two books?
Yeah, terrific. Really one of the treasures that we have here in Coptic Studies at Claremont Graduate University is Professor Gawdat Gabra. He is, as you said, he's an internationally recognized leader in the field. And so in higher education, in the academy, there are certain professors who make a real difference, whose scholarship is noted for advancing the field, for telling us new things, that their research is just very cutting edge. And Professor Gabra is one of these professors. Oftentimes they've trained students who have gone on to have very successful careers of their own. And so oftentimes, if you're a senior professor, as you get maybe towards the end of your career, your students and colleagues and others who have been influenced by your writings will get together and say, let's do something to honor this very senior and illustrious professor. And so this comes together in what the Germans call a Festschrift. And so this is usually a collection of essays in honor of a certain professor. And to give some sense of how important Professor Gabra is in his field, he is the honoree of not one, but two Festschrifts, which is really quite distinctive, And so this one is called From Old Cairo to the New World: Coptic Studies presented to Gawdat Gabra on the occasion of his 65th birthday. I joked with him, it must be in future tense. And then this one called Egypt, 1350 BC to AD 1800, art historical and archaeological studies for Gawdat Gabra. I mean, this just in itself, the fact that very distinguished scholars have come together to honor Professor Gabra gives some sense of his importance in the field, the gravity of his scholarship, of a lifetime of dedication to advancing our understanding of the Coptic experience and Coptic history.
Can I jump in at one moment?
Yes.
So I would agree with Patrick. I think most faculty, would consider a Festschrift in their honor to be the greatest honor that they could receive. So to have two is really above and beyond. But Professor Gabra continues to work with his students. So he is the kind of professor who actually there's not enough for there to be a course, and he's already teaching the courses that are required by the university. So he does independent study with 3 or 4 of them and teaches above and beyond. And so usually when someone is at the stage where they're being internationally honored in a Festschrift, they don't spend extra time working with students, and he does. And so again, not only do we have an internationally renowned scholar, but we have what we call in Yiddish a mensch.
And he continues to publish, he continues to write, and so it's not like he's done this and he's a fossil on a shelf.
Right.
I mean, he's an active scholar, continues to produce terrific scholarship, and involves his students in the creation of that knowledge. It's really remarkable. We're very fortunate.
As a Copt, actually, I'm grateful to both of you and to CGU, from the president to the administration to the faculty, whoever I met since 1996 when we met here. Everybody gave positive energy to Coptic studies. Everybody I met, from Professor James Robinson 40 years ago till today, I'm really truly grateful from the bottom of my heart. And I wanted to say that thanks for the environment that you provided to Dr. Gawdat Gabra from 2007. Professor Torjesen at the time invited him to be a visiting professor, and then he was promoted to clinical professor. So many, almost annually, Gawdat Gabra produces a book. And his latest book, Old Cairo, represents the spirit of Claremont. Islamic, Jewish, and Coptic representation in this book. And the back of the book is presented by His Eminence, Metropolitan Pachomius, who was at the time the acting Pope of the Coptic Church, the Grand Mufti of Egypt, Dr. Ali Goma, and the former Ambassador of the United States to Egypt, His Excellency Daniel Kurtzer. And because the book has a merger, combination of the city of Old Cairo as it was inhabited by, and still, Christians, Jews, and Muslims for millennia. And the book is fabulous. And this book has won the first runner-up of the American Association of Publishers. And that's a great honor, whoever participated. But I thank you. The environment you provided, including myself as a person, I'm a way improved person by my interaction here. So I'm so grateful.
Well, of course, the feeling is mutual, because we're all improved by your presence, by the presence of Coptic studies, by the students, by Professor Gabra. The entire arrangement has really redounded to CGU's benefit.
Thank you very much. One final word, if I may ask from each of you to conclude this segment.
Well, I think one of the, even possibly as partial answer to what do we have to offer here at CGU, and I think the Old Cairo volume is a great example of that, is once the School of Religion, now Department of Religion, expanded to include denominations of Christianity not regularly represented and other religious groups, what happened also plays off of what Patrick was saying is it's the students. So the students sit next to each other in classes. Students who are not interested in Coptic studies necessarily, but are interested in early Christianity, take Coptic studies, and you have those students impacting each other, and they say, well, gosh, you should take so-and-so with so-and-so, right? And then it expands, and so students start through their interactions in class, because the kind of student who comes here is opening to learning, not just what they thought they didn't know, but open to learning what's out there and what they can draw from. And because we also try and teach methodology so that they're not completely random, there is this sense that students at Claremont can draw from other areas that are not possible at many other universities that teach religion. And part of that is because of people like you and the Coptic Studies Council, who are so involved and bring not only people like Gawdat Gabra to us, but also lecture series and opportunities through the Coptic Encyclopedia. And so I think there's so much going on that's why somebody should come here.
It's really a rich place that, again, I'm jealous of the students here. Please, Professor Mason.
Well, I would just echo that, and that it's, I think this is a tremendous place to do Coptic studies, but we're enriched by Coptic studies as well here. This is our vision for religious studies here at Claremont Graduate University, where people of various faiths or of no faith at all, or everywhere on the spectrum, can come together, sit in a classroom together, and learn from one another. The questions that are raised in one tradition may illuminate something in a different tradition, and I think Coptic studies has added to that mix, and we're all enriched by what we've learned from Coptic studies.
Thank you again, both of you.
Thank you.
Our viewers, thank you for watching Logos TV. This has been a special segment on Coptic studies in Claremont. I'm Michael Saad. See you next week.